Hello, this is Lisa Russick, and I am here again. It's the same day as it was today. It's very hard to explain. But first of all, before I tell you about that, we have a guest named Lisa. Isn't that crazy? It's the first guest we've ever had named Lisa. No, we had a Dr. Lisa. But Lisa, hello. Would you like to say hello to the listeners?
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. I'm like such a big fan of psychics named Lisa.
I like them too. Now I have a question for you, Lisa. And the question is, do you think we're all psychic?
I totally think we're all psychic. I think it's so much that I wrote a book called Awakening Your Psychic Abilities.
Oh,
And I really consider psychic ability like it's an ability, like musical ability, athletic ability, and we all have some that we're born with, but you really got to practice. And I think there's sort of this myth and misconception that people have that they see a psychic on TV and they're like, oh, that person was just born that way and they never worked for it. But I don't think that's true. I think professional psychics are just like professional musicians, professional athletes. You work and you work and you work and you work to get to that level. And I think anyone can improve their psychic ability to bring it to their potential if they're willing to work on it.
I agree with you. And sometimes people are just kind of forced to, aren't they?
Yeah.
I see
that was definitely me.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. So why do you think that way? I agree with you that it is a skill. It's not necessarily a magical woo. I mean, it's a skill. I mean, magic is a skill, if you ask me,
Yeah.
It is. So how did you get there?
Well, I mean, I feel like we, as in general, as humans, we wouldn't have evolved without it. It's like such a big part of our, we'd all be dead, like as cavemen or something. But for me, I was one of those born with it people, like I see dead people, kids. And I was born in the 1960s. So, when I was growing up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was no psychics on TV, no new age bookstores, no internet, right?
Where are you? Country in the United States or?
Yeah, I was just outside of Boston.
Okay.
And my hippie parents, God bless my hippie parents, they didn't drag me to the church and throw holy water on me, but back then nobody know what to do about it. So I spent most of my childhood trying to figure out what was going on, how to turn it off, what was even happening, and and trying to pretend to be normal in public, which
how did you figure out you were different? I mean, how did you know that?
I just always
saw. You remember a moment where someone said to you, people don't do that, you're different? Or did you just feel it?
I just knew I was having experiences other people. Here's a really significant moment for me. So I believe that I was born psychic because I had a twin brother that died in utero.
Yeah.
And twinsies, first of all, it's like a near-death experience. And twins are connected, mentally, psychically.
Yeah.
And then he went to the other side and I stayed and was born. And I really believe that happened partly to give me my gift. Was sort of the point of it was to give me the gift. But when I was 4 or 5 years old, I had my imaginary friend, like so many kids do and psychic kids do. And so I was sitting in the corner of the house somewhere talking to, blah, 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 blah. And my mom came in and she said, honey, who are you talking to? And I said, talking to my dead brother, William. And she had this glass of iced tea in her hand and she dropped it and it smashed on the floor. She ran screaming out of the room,
screamed.
And
wow.
Yeah. And I was like,
quite a reaction.
That was sort of the moment where I was like, oh, you're not supposed to talk to your dead brother.
Yeah. Not only that, you're psychic, you know exactly what she's probably feeling about it. And that made you feel bad.
I know. So that was sort of oh, I guess I shouldn't say that anymore. I also, I was such a weird kid, but even when I was really little, I knew I had to be quiet about it.
Me too.
And that, that I was going to end up in a mental hospital if I wasn't quiet, because if you see angels and talk to dead Uncle Fred, that's what happens, So I knew I had to be shh.
Especially back then.
Especially back then. So I just would see colors around people. I would tell what people were feeling. I remember going out into my grandparents had a farm, a farm in Vermont, and going out into the land there and seeing this glow around all the plants. And it was the aura of the plants, and being to other people. I spent a lot of my child be like, do you see that? Do you see
I'm
what they
trying
were
to figure
doing?
this out. Like,
Is that something
did
you see
anyone ever
that?
see it? Stuff?
No, yeah, nobody would ever see that. And then I would wake up in the middle of the night and see like, I called them the gray people. They'd be sitting on the edge of my bed or around my bed and they'd be like wanting to talk.
Yeah. Were they people or were they
They
alienoid?
were ghosts.
Ghosts? Okay.
Dead people.
Yeah.
And I knew they were sad. And if I talked and listened to them, like I was never really scared of them, but it felt bad for them. Like they were lonely and sad. And if I talked to them, they would feel better and sometimes go away.
Do you feel that way about living people too? Just as off the topic. I mean, you just kind of felt that way,
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so funny because I was just talking to somebody about this today. Like I've never been afraid of spirits, even though I've seen some really dark ones.
Yeah.
But people scare the crap out of me on a regular basis.
Really? Because they can be crazy.
Living people are like
something, but they're not gonna like, be crazy person who can physically harm you with a knife in your closet. I don't know. It's ghosts, spirits.
Yeah. Spirits, I mean, they don't have much power in our dimension. No. So they,
only if they convince us to do what they say if they're bad guys.
Yeah.
The spirits aren't going to do that.
Right.
So, listeners and watchers, we're going to transition away from the bad spirits. And we're going to talk about Lisa's book. Tell us about the book. I want to hear about your book.
Yeah. So I came out in 2023 and I wrote a book called The Art of Psychic Reiki. And that's really about blending like intuition into Reiki sessions.
Yes.
It's so cool. And then I wrote another one called Energy Healing for Empaths, which is really about.
I didn't know you've written a bunch of books and they're all back there. I'm blind. Okay.
Yeah.
Listeners and watchers, this is a video podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and you can see her they're beautiful covers.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
The color scheme is really pretty. Oh, yeah.
And that's sort of my ode to the sensitives and empaths to really help, understand how to manage your sensitivity. Yeah. And then awakening your psychic ability is sort of like, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what we can do to awaken our psychic ability. And there's lots we can do. So there's some like really, practical things we can do right away that, activate our psychic.
Okay. Teach me.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I tell people to do is to start a psychic journal. And I used to say, like, go to CVS and buy a 99-cent composition book and write a psychic journal on the top. And then I published one called the Psychic Awakening Journal. Nice. But begin to write down like all of the things that are going on. If you remember your dreams, write them down. If you have first impression, like strong first impressions when you meet people, write that down. Yes. If you pull oracle cards, write it down. If you signs, omens, all the sort of psychic things that we already experience, because I guarantee if you do that, you will realize you are way more psychic than you think you are.
You're right.
Off the bat. And those things are so ephemeral. They're so like, they're like, you're like, oh my God, that's the thing. And then 5 minutes later, you forgot about it. When we write it in the journal, it gives it a place to live. And whatever we focus on gets bigger, builds.
Absolutely.
So that is a really like simple, easy way to start paying attention. I used to say if I wrote a book about psychic development, I'd call it Pay Attention. We have to pay attention to these things, and having the journal helps us pay attention to it.
Yes, you're right. That's brilliant. I've never heard anyone say that. And I if I had heard that when I was like 23, that would have changed my life. Well, if I had heard that if I'd heard the word empath in reference to a human being, that would have changed my life too. And spirit guide, that term,
right.
A lot of terms that I didn't know. Once I heard them, I was just like, whoa, that's it. Am I crazy? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that's perfect. If I had gone from when I was 23 and had written all the strange experiences I'd had down and read it back for a few years, it would change my life.
Totally. And it gives us like validation, you know what I mean? So,
yes.
Like, cause you can have like a feeling like something's going to happen and on a Monday. And then if you don't write it down by the time it actually happens on Wednesday, you forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it happens on Wednesday and you're like, I knew that was going to happen. I wrote it in my journal.
Yes.
And so it just sort of captures it in a way that helps the ephemeral nature. Same thing with dreams, how like you wake up in the morning and the dream is so significant. And unless you write it down 5 minutes later, you forgot it.
Yes, and I always like to say this for people who don't to write or type. Have your recorder ready and make little notes with your phone recorder.
Totally.
I do for dreams because I'm not going to write anything. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't write anyway, hardly anymore because I'm typing. I never
Mhm.
did have good handwriting, so I will do it into the voice recorder, kind of.
Yeah. It's a
And
great idea. Yeah. It
like
works just as well.
one time I did it, I was in one of those cycles just recently. I did a few days ago where I was like waking up a lot and I drift off and have a dream and wake up. So I did it that time. There were 5 of them. And I just had little clips, little memories, and I didn't even remember doing it until later that day. And I was like, oh yeah, I've got 5 recordings. And I had 6. And they were all just like, and then as I heard them, I could remember the imagery and the feeling and stuff. But I totally like right now I can't remember them. Even
Right.
if I listened to it once.
I think all of our psychic kits are like that,
Yeah.
and they can be like such a big deal when they happen. Like the time I walked out of my office into the back parking lot and there was a hawk on the ground eating like a bird.
Mm-hmm.
And it did its whole like protect the prey thing. And it was giant. And I was like, I knew it was like a message for me. Like I had to look at that and go, am I the hawk or am I the prey? I'm like, I think I'm the prey. I think I'm the prey. I think I'm the bird that just got eaten, you know? And I was like, it was such a big deal. And then thank God I wrote about it because I forgot about it like days later.
Yeah.
You know?
What happened? What was going on? Don't tell me personally, but was anything like ending in your life?
Yeah, it was totally the ending of a relationship.
Because
kind of a dangerous, like there was, I wouldn't say it was a dangerous relationship, but there was like, I needed to have my wits about me in the ending of that,
What you mean by that? I've always been seeing hawks since my divorce in 2021. Or when I left my husband, I've been seeing hawks and I thought they were men, but someone was on the podcast recently and she's like, well, think about it this way. She said things are dying off and hawks come and eat the leftovers. And she's like, these hawks are coming and eating the dead parts of you that you don't need anymore, is basically what she was getting at for me.
That's cool. I love that.
And I was like, that's something, otherwise they've been saying, well, pay attention, basically. But then that one, like, they are taking those dead parts of me and showing me I'm taking these bad men away. I really do have in my karmic thing, I believe part of the reason I'm here is to find love, real romantic love. And I've always had unhealthy relationships, as a lot of us have in this field. Not all, but a lot of people have.
Yeah, for sure.
So what else you got for us to be psychic? I love this. Writing in the book is
really good. And then I think the other thing to do, and it's super simple, is that we're our most psychic when we shift our brainwave state into the alpha brainwave. So when we're awake and we're in the beta brainwave, we're thinking, we're talking, we're, bopping around and doing thinking things. We're not very psychic when we're in that brainwave state. And, we need to drop the brainwave down. This is what professional psychics do. Like when I, have a session, like I learned how to switch my brainwave state at will because my hippie parents took me to the Silva method. It was called Silva mind control back in the 70s and 80s. And they talk about that. Like, so I learned when I was really young and I started working professionally as a psychic when I was 19. Oh. And I'm pretty sure it's because I learned all these skills from the Silva method, but that's what professional psychics do is they focus their brainwave from out of the beta into the alpha brainwave. And we can do that. Anyone can do it really easily. It's sort of that daydreamy, sort of light trance state that you get when you're in the shower, when you're driving, when you're walking the dog, when you're doing the dishes, mowing the lawn, folding the laundry. And our hands are kind of absorbed in doing something routine. And you go, or looking out the window, lying on the grass and looking at the clouds go by, sitting by the ocean and watching the waves come in. That sort of daydreamy state we get in, we're the most psychic. So you can do an exercise, like take out your psychic journal, write a question in your psychic journal. And if you don't know what to do, you can write, tell me what I need to know the most. Right. And then go do one of those things. Okay. And just sort of wait and see, like you kind of forget about it and you're just in the shower. So many psychics get their best hits in the shower.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I know, right? And we go into that alpha brainwave state, and then the answer is going to kind of float into our consciousness. We'll feel it, sense it, know it, see it, hear it. And that's what anyone can do that anytime. We're in and out of that state all day long.
You just don't remember what they thought about, I think.
Right.
was doing
or
it.
you don't focus your intention to and the answer. So, if you've been like,
good point
on something and you put it down, you're like, you're frustrated, you can't figure out this happens to me when I'm writing another book now. And I'm poking at it and worrying at it, and it's not getting anywhere. And I like go walk the dog, and all of a sudden the answer's there. So
that's
or
so
you get
funny
in the
you
shower,
said that, because I used to be a writer too, and all my endings came in the shower because I would write myself up to the end. I'd have it all written in my head up to the end, and then I'd write it. I'd save the end to figure out, and I'd think about it the whole book. And then always right there, I got to that point, I take a shower, and there's the end.
There it is. That's it. And your psychic hits work the same way. It's creativity. It's where we're the most creative. We do the best creative problem solving, and we're the most psychic.
I agree. Yeah, it's just letting the flow of energy.
Yeah.
For me, it's skill. Like you said, it's a skill, but it's tangible. I mean, because we supposedly can't see it, but some people can't see it. Most people can't see it, feel it, etc. They say. I think we're feeling it all the time. I mean, how can you not, when you're talking to a person and you get excited? What is that? And it's not like a romantic thing. Like I'm talking to you, but I'm like, well, what's happening? I'm not, when I wasn't talking to you and I was just sitting here, I mean, I was okay, but I'm much happier now that I'm talking to you, I mean, it's just like hard to explain, especially about one of my favorite subjects,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of a psychic thing too, is really kind of connecting to somebody. And with whatever skill, whatever your biggest, there's my cat just had a nightmare. He's going to come running any minute. Oh, Gandalf, did you have a nightmare? He always has a nightmare and whenever he has a nightmare, he always comes running to me. Come on, come Lisa. Oh, the listeners have seen this a lot. Oh, the watchers. He's thinking about it. He'll be up here in a minute.
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear him? Can you hear
Kitty? I actually I closed the door, and my cat would be all over here too.
Oh, we love that. I love in the podcast. Here's Gandalf. He likes to say, "Hi, Lisa."
Hi, Kitty.
I had a nightmare, Lisa. I don't feel too good. He has a lot of them. He has ever since he was a kid. And but he always comes and gets love afterwards. It's gonna be like you said, all over everything. So what else? You said you had like 5 different kinds of things that could help us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's super important is energy management, especially if you recognize yourself as an empath or particularly sensitive. That we need to learn how to tell the difference between when we're sensing something, especially when we're feeling something. Is this me or is this the world? Is it like, am I just picking up somebody else's vibes? I feel like terrible right now. Is it me? It feels terrible, or is it the world? What I picked up from other people. So I feel like every single psychic, every empath, the first thing I do when I start working with people is teach them good energy management practices, good energy
I love that. I would just like to take that, just that one.
I would take them all,
actually, but that one sounds really fabulous. I love
so good. So like we need to learn how to ground ourselves, how to be embodied, how to clear the energy we pick up from other people, how to replace the energy we lose, and then how to bubble up and protect ourselves. So that is, and I use sort of a breathing and visualization technique, but there's lots of different ways to do it. And I just don't think it's safe. We don't feel safe opening up psychically until we have good energy management practices, until we have a little good psychic self-defense. Because otherwise, why would you want to open if you're just going to feel terrible because you're collecting all the energy from other people, right?
Yeah, I agree. And you said you're a medium too, so you can collect the attention of negative, lower vibrations. That's how a lot of lower vibrations. I think of that as just like entities, or they are just like energies that just kind of latch on. I don't know what they are, but they will get in there sometimes if I'm open up and doing readings, like when I was younger and didn't protect myself, or how to, or even that was a thing that I had to do or needed or should do. I did have some like giving a reading, and I would give the reading and I would assume it was a good spirit, but it wasn't. It was just a spirit trying to mess me up, so I'd get off track and stop doing psychic readings. But I have bad memory, so they can't usually get me. They'll forget it. I'll forget that I messed up or I did this big mistake, and I don't feel that bad about it. But I feel bad for the client, and I will apologize. Whatever, they won't believe me. It doesn't matter. For me, what mattered was that I didn't take that guy seriously, the energy seriously. It didn't ruin my career. Whatever I told the person wasn't like a big, huge. But I was young in the phone line work. It was like probably a
Yeah.
week, and somebody,
Wow.
an entity did that, just gave me the wrong answer, and it didn't upset the woman or anything. But I did find out from her when she called back that's what happened. She called back like the next day and blah 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 blah, and but I kind of felt weird. I could tell it. I could tell a difference in that energy because it was so clear and it was so definite. And none of my guides at that time were that clear and definite. So I did think that was really strange, and it didn't feel like it came from me. Even when my guides give me answers, it's still part me. But
Mm,
this other one coming through, it felt like it was coming down and up. If that
hmm.
makes sense. And the other ones come
Yep.
from the sides, I guess.
Totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. Um, yeah, so I think that's definitely something that people who are just learning, people who are just opening up can be really vulnerable to. And
Absolutely.
especially if we're not in a good state. So if we're in a state where we're depressed, we're anxious, or we're working, we have a lot of trauma that we haven't worked through. And then we try to open up psychically, we can, because it's sort of like what we're vibrating, we tend to attract, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So um it's really important to kind of know how to stay out of the astral plane. So a lot of newbie psychics say open up, they're hitting the astral plane. And that is sort of a mixed territory. Like it's kind of a mixed bag. And the lower astral is where some of the more negative spirits, mischievous and, spirits live that we don't really, that's like where the Ouija board takes you,
Right.
right to the lower astral. So we
They're
definitely don't
all
want to do that, you know?
yeah.
And and so we have to learn how to kind of arise above the astral plane and hit the higher frequencies where we're hitting, like we're working with ascended masters or angels or, you know, beings that are of a higher, pure frequency. And we don't know because sometimes we're in the astral and the guide is like, I'm Archangel Michael. And we're like, yay, I got our, and then it's like, yeah, go kill your family. And we're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, no, what?
Oh my God.
So I just think it's sort of a trap that almost every psychic falls into when we're learning it.
That's
It just
very
happens.
interesting. I have tried to astral project. I believe I do it in my sleep, but I can never do it consciously. And every time I've almost gotten there, a cat stops me.
Yeah, I don't think it's a
They
safe
don't let me.
practice. I don't,
Or
because
I
if
could
you
be like you
leave,
saying I could be way up there, or at a higher, because I am spaced out a lot of the time, and I did
yeah.
have a stress test done, a brain like stress test where they put electrodes on me and then recorded my stress responses to sounds,
Mm.
and my gamma waves were really high, and they called that an extreme coping mechanism. But to me, from what I understand, that's just kind of being, you would be spaced out if you had high gamma waves, from what I understand with brain waves, right? You'd be kind of above. They said it was an extreme coping mechanism because of all the pain I'm in.
Mm.
Mhm.
Fascinating. Gamma's kind of a high energy, high frequency space. And I think people who meditate a lot go into gamma
I do
and
meditate.
it's like a flow state. So a
Yeah.
lot of times when we're in the gamma, like we're highly psychic, highly creative. And I mean, there's a difference between that and being like out of your body, like being dissociated
I'm
because
not
you have,
associated, that's for sure. But that's what I think they were getting at.
yeah, I think they were trying to tell you you're dissociated and that's different from having a lot of gamma.
Yes.
Gamma's pretty good. I mean, gamma's like
Yeah,
where,
it makes when I read that and I read about the brain waves more. I'd read about them in high school, in like the 90s, So I had to go
yeah.
back and kind of refresh a lot. And that's what I thought when I was reading about what the gamma waves do. I was like, well, that's my job. I have to.
Yeah,
Right?
I
I
think
don't.
so. It's good. It's meditating. Meditators have more of that, and it puts you in that flow state of like real, like timeless creativity or timeless flow. When that's the gamma brainwave. It's
Well, I'm
really a good
also a
place to be.
musician, so that might be part of why. And I do think that
Mm.
vibration and resonance and everything is everything, as far as the physical world, possibly the spiritual world. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
I just love music, and for me, it expresses everything in the moment, and it flows too. So it's just like that. What you're saying makes me think of music, when I'm in
Yeah,
the flow of music than
that's right.
singing or anything. It's like,
That's the gamma state, and that you're in that timeless, joyful place where you feel like you're in your higher self. I think it's like the higher self state, honestly.
maybe it is. I mean, they're not like all the way up to here, the gamma waves, but they were 3 times as much as the normal according to
Yeah,
the chart.
fascinating.
And he also said my delta and theta, I think it was, were opposite. And he said that was ADD. That was an ADD response, which I do have. And I have been diagnosed with it. I've been tested. No doctor believes I have ADD. Isn't it pretty obvious? I'm on my medication and I'm still all over the place. I don't know. But I've been tested 3 times and I passed all 3 tests. But every doctor's like, nobody really has ADD. You don't. We're going to test you, even though I've been tested. I think I finally got him with the stress test, though, because there's a book and it says it, like how and why.
I wrote a blog once about are all psychics neurodiverse?
They might be.
And my answer is yes. Yes, all psychics are neurodiverse.
And we're all psychics, so we're all
I know. I'm not even sure I believe in neuronormative anymore, but I don't know if I believe that's the thing. But yeah, I think so many psychics have brains that work in their way. Like I've like kind of extreme learning disabilities. I'm dyslexic, I'm dysgraphic. Like I have like my own sort of form of neurodiversity.
You're brilliant though. You're a freaking genius. I can tell.
It's just funny that I have all that and all I do is write books all day, it's just a little funny.
And yeah, because you have dyslexia. I see. Do you have problems when you're writing the books though? I'm just curious.
No, the computer solves all my problems.
What's that?
The computer solves all my problems. The computer and the word processing programs and that adaptive.
Trying to use a speech to text program like Dragon or something.
I just do better with writing. I like the hand keyboard, like that's my thinking process.
Dude, so, they're like the right pace.
Yeah.
You get to think it out. I used to write a lot too. I used to be a ghostwriter. So, but
cool.
I'm and ghostwriter.
Wow. That's an interesting job.
Mostly horror and sci-fi, and mostly there's those kind of genres. So.
Wow,
it's really fun.
Neat. That's fun.
Yeah, I did love it. And gosh, you're just so interesting to talk to. So you got a couple more for us still that we might be able to work with, or
I think let's see. I really am. I love dream interpretation. So for those of you guys that remember your dreams, and if you don't remember your dreams, you can learn to if you do what we were talking about, writing them down on paper or recording them. Is like you set your intention to remember your dreams. You can program your subconscious to remember your dreams by writing it on a slip of paper and sticking it under your pillow at night.
Or if you have guides or angels that you talk to.
Yeah, and just say, help me remember my dreams. Sometimes medications we take can stop the dream process, but everybody actually dreams, even if you don't remember it. And I think like for a lot of people, mining our dreams is an incredibly powerful way to get psychic information.
Mm-hmm.
So learning some dream interpretation and learning how to tell the kinds of dreams that are more psychic, more precognitive. For me, they usually have like we have emotion dreams that are there to help us clear our emotional life. And everybody has those, mostly the anxiety dream, where you can't find your plane ticket and you're at the airport, or you're back in high school and it's the test day and you don't have a number 2 pencil and you're not wearing any pants, like we have anxiety dreams. But if you have like, those are just mine. Where's my number 2 pencil and where's my pants?
Oh, you are a writer. You are. I love that. That's beautiful.
But we also have dreams that can be quite intense but have no emotion to them. Like, like I was living overseas, and when I was in college, I was living in France, and I had this dream that my grandmother was sitting at a cafe with me. And she's like, we were having this, it was so real. I felt like she was there. We had having this great conversation. And she's like, well, I have to go now. And I knew when she said that, I was like, oh my God, like you're really going, like you're gonna die. And she's like, yeah, I already did. And I'm just here to visit you. And I was like, even though it was so sad, in that moment, I didn't feel any sadness. I was just like, it was like a fact, like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I woke up out of that dream because my mother was calling me and telling me that what happened. And then I was like, then I had all the emotion. Yeah. But when we have intense dreams that kind of have like a blank, neutral tone to them, that pay attention to those ones because there's usually really significant psychic information in them.
Okay. Why do you think that is? I'm just curious.
I think that it's because so many of us, like our brains are so busy, and our guides are always trying to get information to us. And sometimes the best they can do is wait till we go to sleep, because your conscious mind is out of the way, and they can download psychic information directly into us without us fighting it, ignoring it, resisting it, right? And then later, that even if you don't remember your dream, that information will often sort of bubble up into our conscious mind over the course of time. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, we need to get a message to her right now. And
Yeah.
she's binge watching Bridgerton on, Netflix. We can't get through. So, okay, let's wait till she's asleep, and then boom, they come in there with, because we're quiet for a minute and we're open when we're sleeping.
Yes, yes. I get that way when I watch TV, oddly enough. They come in, but bad things come in when I watch TV, bad thoughts. I said, I don't know why that is. I think it's the sound. Because when I put a sound bar in, it doesn't do that.
Interesting.
It's the sound of the TV itself. And I've heard all kinds of conspiracy theories about sound from TV. I don't know about that. But I do get very irritable, and I start thinking about things I don't like to think about that aren't mine, even, just weird things. When I'm watching TV, I don't see or hear any of the TV. I'll just go into my little brain. It's the 80s.
Fascinating. Probably, I mean, lots of auditory psychics will often hear voices and white noise. So in the fan,
I'm auditory, I don't hear much. I see, but
me too.
In my mind's eye, I don't hear much with my ears, but I'm more cognizant. Is that right? The no. Yeah,
just know. You just know. You don't know why you know. You just know. And the visual psychic, clairvoyant, you see stuff. I think sometimes auditory psychics often hear things inside white noise. But a lot of, that's really common for kids, like you run the fan or the air conditioner, people will hear music or people talking or voices.
I have had that happen plenty of times in my life. I just don't think about it. It's just
that's a really common auditory psychic experience.
What is it? Do you think it is they're hearing? Or
I think it's the astral plane. So I think it's residual. Yeah, it's residual energy, or the spirits of the dead, or
I do hear that little chattery.
Mm-hmm. It's a little gateway into the astral.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Man, you're just fascinating. Okay, you got one more. I thought you said you had 5, or did you get or my
one more. Let me see. The other thing that I really want people to know is that we all have a team of spirit guides that are working with us. And everyone, check this out, I've done over 15,000 readings in my life, which I only know because my publisher made me count.
How could you? Oh my God. You count 15,000?
Yeah, if you think like 20 clients a week for 25 years.
Yeah, you've done it.
It's about that, right? So every person that I've ever read has always had a team. I've always seen this team. Like sometimes there are people that we know that have crossed over. It's like our, beloved dead. Sometimes it's angels, ascended masters, power animals, like nature spirits, fairies, and everybody's team is really unique. So, but the one thing is they cannot help us if we don't ask, because we're living in a free will dimension. So please, before your feet hit the floor, before you get out of bed, ask your team for help. Every day, free will ticks over, and your guides want to help you. They're there for you. They're not going to take away your lessons. They're not going to do your homework for you, but they will assist you. There's only so much they can do, but they can't do anything if we don't ask.
That is very true.
So remember to ask your guides for help. Even if you don't know what you need, just help me today. I don't know what I even need, but just
protect me if I have.
Yeah, protect me. Give me courage. Give me strength. Give me clarity.
Yeah, anything.
Right.
Today, let me feel healthy today. Anything, be grateful.
Whatever.
At the end of the day, they don't care. I don't think they'll do it anyway. But say thank you. It'll make you feel.
Yeah, they do. They appreciate that. It's like a relationship. So we want to do all the things that we would do to build a healthy relationship.
It's interesting that you said that about spirit guides, because in today, listeners and watchers, I'm doing 2 podcasts in one day, and the one I did just before this, she was talking about spirit guides in the same way you are. So it's very interesting. That last thing you just said, you have to ask them, and she was talking about them all in this smoking room, waiting to be asked. like, come
Yeah,
on, we're waiting, we're
totally
waiting.
agree.
It's like it reminded me of, yeah.
Totally true. And they want to help, but they can't unless we ask for it. They can't interfere with our free
They
will.
want us to ask, but they have to do it in a way that is best and for the highest and greatest good, from what I understand. I'm also a Reiki practitioner, so I learned
Yeah,
highest and greatest good, and the Reiki
yeah,
principles. I love the Reiki principles. I
me
try to
too.
say them every day in my head. And I've only practiced Reiki, and I became a Reiki master teacher about a year ago. But before that, 2 years before that, so 3 years ago, I became what just took Reiki 1 and 2. I
Mm,
didn't want to go to the master teacher level. I did it by accident. I thought I was just taking PRT, but I took both, and I was like, I guess I'm going to do this. And I'm really glad I did, because I usually use it on myself and on
yeah.
animals to send to situations.
Yeah, it's great. It's such a
Yeah,
good tool, especially for sensitives. Like if you're an empath, learning Reiki is one of the things you can do to really
it'll
help
help.
you. It'll help so much in so many ways. I really recommend it for all
Yeah.
empaths.
And I learned a Sui shamanic Reiki, and she does bring in guides for the Reiki when she teaches. It's like, if you don't want to learn this way, you don't have to, our teacher said. But if you want
Right.
to, you can. I already worked with guides. But maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, I realized, I asked my guy, I started the Reiki. I was going to give myself Reiki. And I just said, guides, I'm too tired. Can you give me Reiki? And they did. I didn't know guides. I have Reiki guides and guide guides. They're different. And they will offer me Reiki if I ask them.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
like, having a person do it is really strange.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't
good.
happen every time, because I'm like a little too excited about it. Like, I can't get that relaxed. There is a huge hawk. That's an eagle. Oh, there's an eagle who lives around here. I've seen him once before, and that was an eagle.
Wow.
We just saw it.
Eagles are like the direct messengers from God, from divine source.
What up,
And
eagle?
like, oh my God, when we see them, it's such a big deal. And it's like
Oh, why did you?
something really powerful
Lisa and the Eagle
going on.
Jam. I think we need to ask where the listeners can find you on that note, because that's a beautiful place to.
You bet. Yeah. But you can visit me at my website, lisacampion.com. Stop by and visit. I have a lot of, stuff I work with psychics, empaths, and healers who really want to step into their gifts. And, my mission, I always say my mission in life is to create an army of healers to go out there and save the world. And I have everything from like beginners, psychic development to advanced to like an apprentice program where I teach people to go pro.
Nice.
And I teach Reiki online, and I have like a great YouTube channel that has a lot of
What's your YouTube
free.
channel called? Do you have a name for it?
It's Lisa X Campion.
Lisa X Campion. Okay.
If you search for it, you'll find it, and it's got a lot of free resources for us to guided meditations and exercises and things. And that's it. I also have my own podcast. We should do a podcast exchange. You should come on my podcast.
Oh, I would love to. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
I would love to. I never get.
Yeah, I love doing that. I think that's so fun to do that.
Thank you. I would love to do that, Lisa, and I'm really appreciative.
Sure.
I want to thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and thank my sponsor right now. Everclear is our sponsor. Everclear.com, or Everclear. It's an app on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. You can type in Everclear Advice app, and you will get the Everclear Advice app. Or if you do Everclear.com on the website, you get it that way. And you can get advice from psychics and empaths, so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I'm an advisor on there under the name Lisa P, but I'm turning it into Lisa Russick. So it'll be one or the other if you go to look for me. That's my real name, Lisa Russick. So they know, the listeners know the story. They've heard it over a million times. But I do have one last question for you, Lisa. Do you have any advice for someone who knew, they always knew that they were like, maybe they had an experience like you did, where you figured out other people aren't experienced life like you are. They don't experience life like you are. And maybe to someone who's I want to say someone about 16, 15, and they're angsty. And they know too much, they feel like, and nobody understands them, and they can't tell anyone. Maybe now they could. A few people, maybe they could tell. How would you get that angst out and get the healing to start flowing for that person?
I think it's really important to find community. So that's the one thing I didn't have when I was growing up with my psychic gifts. So to find a Facebook group or, a podcast or some sort of online community where you can get around people who are like you. And sometimes like we can grow up in different parts of the country where like I live in New England, it's pretty liberal here and people don't mind, they're not throwing rocks at psychics on the street. But maybe you belong to a place where that's really not okay. And so I feel like we need community. It's really, really hard to do it on our own. It's horrible, miserable, and isolating to feel like you're on your own with this. And I want to tell you, you're not. You're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. But finding the people, finding your group, finding your support team in the flesh can be the difference between you're being tortured by your gifts to this is a cool thing to do.
Right, you're right. And man, that's when you ask your guides. Show me the way.
Help me find my people.
Find my mentor, my people, anything.
Yes.
Great advice. That's really good advice. So yeah, and at 15, I mean, I think in our society now, the 15-year-olds, like when I was 15, I was in Alabama too. But I think people are more open-minded about it in that age group.
I think so too. I think it has more conversation in the mainstream.
There is.
It's more open. There's more openness. And I think that's beautiful. I'm so glad that's true.
Me too. And I just want to say this before we end the podcast. I love your last name, Campion. My favorite book is Watership Down. And I don't know if you've ever read that or seen the movie. Yeah. Do you know who Campion is in that story?
Yeah.
He is the General Woundwart's little league. But in the book, he is Bigwig's best friend in that camp. And he's the only thing in that movie that they didn't do right. Because Bigwig and Campion knew something wasn't right about that Nazi bunny camp, where they're all in control of the females and everybody's in a mark and all that, that if you haven't seen that or read that book, guys, check it out. But Campion was he was kind of the one who helped the rebels do their thing.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's why I always love that name because of that one turned on the bad guy and got them out.
Cool.
In the book. Yeah. So when I saw that name in the email, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this girl. And Lisa too,
Cool. Love that. That's super cool.
And with that, love to say listeners and watchers, I love you. And Lisa, do you love the listeners and watchers?
Of course. Yeah. And thank you for having me on your podcast. It's so beautiful to speak with you. And I appreciate all the amazing work you're doing in the world too.
You too, man. I'm great. I'm thrilled to be on your podcast. So just send me an email and I will be there.
Yeah, you bet.
So there'll be some steps in between, but yeah, we'll be Thank you so much, Lisa. And listeners and watchers, I love you. And we're going to say goodbye and peace out. Bye. Or you can say goodbye, Lisa.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Lisa. And goodbye, everybody.
Bye, Lisa. Goodbye, Lisa and everyone.